Welcome to LN space where sigma dx over dt applies when t equals 1 equals 0. Where energy is infinite, limitless in flux yet remains the same trans-dimensional, constant and abundant. We summarize this as real, behold, the light.
So this is the bike with the pollution control removed from the air filter, and as you can see, first gear is okay, second gear okay, but third gear, you hear the popping, and then we come up to fourth gear, and she won't quite make 50. She'll go like 47, and then she'll lose power and she'll go down to 45. And it's a bit of a mystery here why she'll accelerate first, second, third she starts to be grumpy, fourth doesn't like it at all. So now I have to rejet the carburetor. So here we are, it's Alan again, and we're back working on the Ural. Ho ho ho, does the work on the Ural ever stop? Okay, well anyways, here we are, and it is a 2012 Ural Patrol, and on my last video I took all the pollution control equipment off the machine, and today what we have to do is I have here the jets that came in, the 125s and the 42s, the choke jet or the rich start jet, I'm going to leave it as it is. And originally on these carburetors that came on the Ural, the Keihins, these are the fasteners that they use, and it's people call it the Starhead or the Phillips. And they strip out real easily. In fact, these were in there so tight that you'll see that there's a bit of marring there, and that was caused by I had to get vice grips to get them to unlock. So a quick trip to the hardware store, and I got these stainless steel Allen head fasteners, and I'll be changing out the fasteners on the float bowls with those. And so let's get down to the carburetor here, and I'll get those float bowls off, and I'll show you how easy it is to change out these jets. Okay, so skipping all the boring stuff of actually taking the carburetor off, but showing what is taken off, is we'll take this off and we'll disconnect these three pipes. That's the fuel line there, that's the float bowl vent that goes just to a T and to nowhere, and then this here is the vacuum line for the petcock operation. Some people hate these things. It's one of those like it or hate it kind of deals. I don't mind it. It works, and they put them on Harleys, so okay, I'll go with that. Not because they put it on Harley, but I don't have to keep turning the petcock on and off all the time and wearing out the seal. So what I want to show here is the carburetor's off, and you want both sides of the motor. You want to get it this way, and before you go any further, a 3.5 millimeter Allen wrench, and right down under here, okay, there is a screw which, when you undo it just a little way, fuel will come pissing out right here, and you want to drain the float bowl. You're going to have about that much fuel is going to come out of the float bowl, and Then once you've got that done, it's on to pulling the float bowl off. Now I have the float bowl off, and if we go down and we look, I had to use vice grips again to get those nasty little Phillips screws off, because even though I didn't put them on, like grunch them down real tight, they still locked up in the threads. And there comes a point to when I'm holding a carburetor in my hand and in my other hand trying to turn a Phillips screw that I know better than to push harder to twist, because it's only going to slip off of there and go into my hand, and I don't like having injuries like that. So I just resorted to the vice grips to get those things started, to unlock them. And so now where we are is this is what you'll see when you look down at the carburetor with the float bowl off, looking from below up, I guess you'd say this view is. And there's your main run jet there. So I ran over and I got a hold of my Keihin CVK32 information. Although these carburetors are 32s, the information is basically the same. And as you can see there, the main jet and the pilot jet, those are the two jets we're replacing. These are the two jets we're going to change. This jet here is the enricher jet, which this thing where I'm touching with my finger there, the choke enricher that on a cold day you pull those things out, this is that jet for that operation. That I'm leaving in here, and we're going to change out these two jets. Now these, as you can see, they take a slot head. What's important is that you put the right size slot head on there, because the brass that they're made out of will chip and break, and then you're stuck. This one you could get out with a vice grip, but that one down there in the tunnel that my thumb is pointing at, that's a whole different matter. And I've heard I have to drill them out, and it just doesn't sound like much fun at all. This is what I'm going to do next, and I'll show you when I've got it done. I've changed the jets, the main jet right there, and down in the tunnel, beside my thumb right there, I changed the pilot jet. And now back here where my thumb is indicating, in that little tunnel, there's another screw, and this is outside the float bowl, and this is for your low run adjustment. That means that before you open the throttle on your carburetor and the needle comes off its seat on the main jet, this is the jet which gives you richness, fuel mixture to your idle operation. And mine was set at 1 1/4 turns, and I was told by the dealer that it has to be up to 2 turns. So screwing it into the seat and then backing it out exactly 2 turns, and now my carburetor should be set up properly. I'm going to put it back together, and I'm going to go do the other carburetor. Now when putting your carburetor back on the rubber stub, okay, you got to remember that these motorcycles are canted that way in towards the sidecar, so they're not really level. But you've maybe gone to problems in the past of setting your float bowl level and getting that right. If your carburetor is canted off to the side at a weird angle, whatever you did and you hope to achieve by getting your float level right will be totally out of whack if your carburetor's in the wrong place. So the easiest thing to do is, I have a magnetic doodad right here, and it has a float level. When I put it on the top of the Keihin carb, you have to make sure that the level is not canted this way, but that it is exactly perpendicular to the bore of the carb. Okay, that means that this will then be sitting in the right orientation for the float to work efficiently. And I turn it around until that blob of air is nicely in the center of that gauge, and now I know that my carburetor is on level and my float will be working correctly. Now, being that all the fuel lines are reconnected and everything, and that it shows up here in the fuel filter that there's some fuel in the filter, essentially because this is locked here, vapor locked, because this valve has not operated in a while. In order to get fuel to flow down into here, and then again down into the carburetor and fill up the float bowls, okay, what we have to do is we have to turn this over to the prime position. And as you can see, fuel is already flowing now down into the float bowls, and it will fill the floats up. And you just basically wait until this fills up or stops flowing, something along those lines. And it looks like that's happened now. So now we turn it back into the run position, okay, and I'm not going to apply the chokes today because it's frickin' hot out today. We're getting some real hot weather off of the desert here, Palm Desert, and so anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let me see, let me turn my special gimbal thing over here, getting the hang of this now. Okay, I'm going to turn her on, okay, and we're going to go up here and hit the switch. There she's running. Okay, now I have to heat her up, get her all warmed up so that I can use my handy dandy Twin Max, set the balance the carbs, and then we can go on from there. Okay, and here we are about to start our test run, and we're in Palm Springs, and it's 107 degrees. I'm not revving the nuts off her, but you can see that she's got her power back, and she's coming up pretty good. This is third gear. She's extending past 50 miles an hour. I'll take her up to 60